The views and opinions expressed by guests on this podcast are solely their own and do not represent the position of the host, this show, or any organization either party is affiliated with. All content is shared purely for educational and inspirational purposes. Nothing discussed here constitutes professional advice. Listeners are encouraged to independently verify any information before acting on it. The host is not responsible for any outcomes resulting from guest statements. By listening, you agree that you are solely responsible for how you use the information shared. Welcome to the Tech Sharmit podcast, where technology is not just news, but the roadmap to the future. This is a space where we explore the latest tech trends, AI, startups, gadgets, and the ideas that redefine the way we think. Leading this conversation is Amit Sharma, globally recognized as Tech Sharmit. A technologist from Bharat, Amit brings an Indian perspective to the global technology landscape. With deep technical expertise and strong industry insight, and for his contributions and impact within the global tech community, he has been recognized with several prestigious honors, including Google Developer Expert, Microsoft MVP, IBM Champion, and Planet Mainframe Influencer. Through this podcast, he shares practical knowledge, real-world perspectives, and globally relevant thinking designed to help you stay ahead in an ever-evolving technology landscape. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the Tech Sharmit channel to stay updated with future episodes. And if you're looking to level up your skills, don't forget to explore the Tech Sharmit digital course book in the description box, where you'll find thousands of free programming courses curated to help you grow as a developer. So plug in your headphones and join us as we begin today's episode of the Tech Sharmit podcast.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tech Sharmit podcast. Today I am joined by another very special guest, Guillaume Blaquiere, who is joining us from France. If I talk about Guillaume, then he is a group data architect, Google Developer Expert in Cloud, keynote speaker, and a leader of the Google Cloud community France. His work today focuses heavily on cloud native architectures, distributed system, and designing intelligent multi-agent AI system that move beyond the simple demos into the real production environment. So today in this episode, we will talk about cloud computing, multi-agent system, AI architecture, and engineering trade-offs as well. But before we get started, I would like to thank Guillaume for joining us today in this episode. And now I request you to please initiate the discussion by telling us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here to talk about what I'm doing for Carrefour and for the agents today.
Yeah. Okay. So now just to kick off, we'll start from your initial days because you went from payments and project management to becoming a Google Developer Expert on cloud. So I just wanted to know, like, what was the inflection point where you realized that yes, cloud wasn't just an infrastructure, but it is your domain where you want to contribute?
Yeah, in fact, I started very early in IT, in fact, 20 years ago, and I have been working for 10 years in the payment in industry and mainly in on-prem environments.
Okay.
And when you have on-prem environments, when you are requested one server, it takes 3 days to have your server. A load balancer, it's 1 week. It's very long, it's very expensive, it's very boring. And when I tried the cloud, you have a VM in 30 seconds, you have a load balancer in 1 click, and it was totally a game changer. In fact, it was a matter of velocity, a matter of cost, and especially because I'm also a developer initially, not an infrastructure guy, so I'm not a VM manager and stuff like this. When you are using serverless products like Cloud Function, like App Engine, like Cloud Run on Google Cloud, it's you develop your code, you click, you deploy it, and it works. And for me, it was totally a game changer. And for me, the cloud was the revolution.
Okay. So as you mentioned, like earlier, you were contributing as a developer and then later you started on that cloud base. So I just wanted to know, like looking back on your career, what do you think, like what's the biggest misconception you have heard about cloud in your early days that have completely reversed now if we compare it with the boy who started with cloud long back then? and now with a person who is a Google developer expert on cloud. So what were the initial misconceptions about it?
Yeah, in fact, the main misconception is um, because I started my career and I grew with only on-prem environments.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to reproduce what I learned, what I knew on on-prem environments into the cloud. And in fact, it's not the same philosophy. It's not the same way to scale. It's not the same way to architect your applications
Mm-hmm.
on-prem and in the cloud. And most of the problem of the applications or the companies that migrate from on-prem to the cloud is mainly because they try to reproduce what they know on-prem into the cloud. It could be in terms of infrastructure, it could be in terms of security, it could be in terms of organization observability. All
Mm-hmm.
these components are new in the cloud. And even if the concepts are the same, you need to learn a new way to leverage and to achieve what you want with the cloud.
Yes, right. Yeah. And like other than this profile, you are also actively contributing as a Google data architect. So, as a Google data architect, where do you see the most painful gap between what companies thinks their data architecture look like and what it is actually? Because we all know that there is a difference, right? Because sometimes companies think in a different with a different perspective, but on the ground reality, how it is different from your exposure to this area? Like what all things have been changed comparatively?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, when you are in a company, when you are designing your data platform, data architecture, it's pretty straightforward and easy to understand and easy and obvious. In fact, it's the concept for real time and batch processes are really clear. But when you want to implement them, especially when you are in an old company, my company has more than 60 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the result of different merge, acquisition, and different IT systems that merge across the years. And finally, you have a very high complexity in terms of data formats, exceptions, business rules. Yeah, it could be obvious on the design, but the implementations has many trap, many exceptions. Um, for example, when you want to implement a real-time data management or data management, and even with agentic now, and you
Mm-hmm.
have your supply chain software only deployed on mainframe. So the mainframe doesn't have any APIs, don't have any real-time replications and stuff like this. So
Correct.
on the paper, it's great, but in reality, it's impossible. So you need to find some the tips and tricks to do it. And yes, it's very different between the two.
Okay. So, did you also face any challenges? Because when we talk about the actual business stakeholders, like who are deciding the things and the technical teams, so how you bridge the gap between these two teams? Like, what are your do's and don'ts when you are interacting with both the parties? One who are completely unaware about the technical things, and one who already know about the technical things.
Yeah, that's the main problem is because we have two type of specialty:
Entities, yeah.
the business vision, and the technical vision. And at Carrefour, we have a methodology named four in the box. So
Mm-hmm.
we are four different persona in the same room, in the same team, the technical, the business, the UX, and the finance to manage the cost. And
Mm-hmm.
all of them are driving the projects in the right way to be sure that the techniques and the business are compliant with the UX and the cost of the applications. The four persona are working together to solve these kind of changes and misconceptions.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so now, Guillaume, we will talk bit about your journey as a multi-agent builder because you have branded yourself as a multi-agent builder. So for those listeners like who think multi-agent means just calling the multiple LLMs, right? More LLM calls. So how do you explain what is the actual fundamentally different about well-designed agent architecture in terms of multi-agent model? So how you can
Yeah.
draw the parallels between them?
First, yes, it's true. When you have a multi-agent, you have more LLM calls. But it's not only the main reason. In fact, I like to take this similarity with the microservices architecture. That's
Mm-hmm.
the pretty same concept. In fact, each agent or each microservices is responsible of one task. So it's a separation of concern, and
Mm-hmm.
every agent are experts on some domain with the capability to access some data or to interact with some tools,
Mm-hmm.
and they are strictly separated from the rest of the application, the rest of the other agents. Also, these agents are able to be called by other agents, by other
Mm-hmm.
applications, maybe to scale differently. It's very similar than the microservices architecture and concepts. And also the trade-off are also the same. Indeed, you have multiple agents, so you have multiple calls to perform to the agents. So you have
Definitely,
more
yeah.
LLM calls, but in microservices ecosystem, you have also more API calls. So
Hmm.
it's pretty similar. You have to manage the trade-off of monoliths and microservices or multi-agents.
Okay, so comparatively, like on one hand we have multiple API calls, and on other hand we have multiple LLM calls and models, right? So this
Yeah.
is, yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is regarding the multi-model agent, right? But if we talk about the hardest engineering problem, so what do you think? Like, what's the hardest engineering problem in multi-agent system that now nobody even talk about, but that really impact the overall outcome of the projects? Not the model quality, but the plumbing part.
Um, yeah, in fact, for me, the most challenging today, and because it's also a new way of working, a new discipline. In fact,
Hmm.
it's new for everyone. It's especially the security.
Okay.
How do you um, connect securely the agents? And when one agent acts on behalf of end user, you or me,
Hmm.
you or me, how do you transmit, how do you forward this identity to sub-agents or to other agents to be able to act again on your behalf?
Okay.
And the security is very complex to manage, to be sure that every agent are secure and stuff like this. And because you need to understand the flow of the identity, you have also the problem of observability. How
Hmm.
do you observe your agents? What do one agent? What do the other agent? What's the data able to transit between the agents? Yeah, the security, the personal data. So for me, the security is really a big challenge, a big pain point today, and it's not yet clear. And I'm sure in the next months, um, new framework, maybe new company, maybe new
Different things would be there.
practices will appear to solve this.
Okay, okay. And Jim, how you are looking at the AI, like how it is impacting the cloud part? Because everyone nowadays is talking about the artificial intelligence and AI. Some people believe that it is going to change everything in the IT sector. Some believe like it is going to help the developers or other IT person like who are dealing with their software industry. So from your perspective, like how you are looking at the changes that is impacted by the artificial intelligence on cloud.
Um, there is, yeah, the artificial intelligence and the Gen AI, because the artificial intelligence exists for many years, but
Correct.
the Gen AI is
Yes, right.
changing, especially the way to learn, to understand, and to go faster to analyze a large volume of text. It could
Yes.
be security logs, it could be application logs, it could be to process a large volume of data, and textual data is very, very efficient.
Hmm.
Then to replace a human and stuff like this, if you are used to build agent and to deploy agents, you can see that sometimes it hallucinates, sometimes it's not reliable, sometimes it's doing something strange. And I got this case. My agent worked very well for 3 months. And at a point of time, I do not know why, without any change, without any delivery, new release or whatever, it changed, it hallucinates, and I didn't understand why. And how I can trust something and to replace my job with something that's sometime doing anything. That's why, yes, it can help, but you need to oversee what it's doing. Same thing for the code, same thing for whatever. When the agent produces something, you need to review it and to validate it. Maybe in a few years it will change, but right now I need to trust more the efficiency of the LLMs.
Right. Okay. And we were talking about the multi-agent approach, right? So I just want to take one more question on that. So when does you think when like what do you think like when does a multi-agent approach actually makes things worse? And where is the trap actually that teams fall into when they over-architect with their agents? So what are the common pitfalls that you have observed so far?
Yeah, I think there is many different pitfalls. The first one, and it was this one that I felt into, was the evolutions of the framework. I started to develop from last year in May with ADK, and with ADK, if you want to have specialized tool or subset of tools, you need to use sub-agents to have a specialized agent. So you have a multi-agent because you need to have specialized agent in your system. Few months back, ADK added the skills to the framework. And finally, sometimes it's better to use skills, and sometimes it's better to use sub-agent or multi-agent system. In fact, you truly need to first you need to update yourself, to update your pattern, because previously it was impossible. Now you have multiple options to the same things in different way.
Yes.
That's the first way. And the other way, you need to think about what you want to achieve. Do you have a real independent agent with a special skills, special tools that we want to isolate in another system? Or is it the same agent with different capabilities that you want to do in the same agents? And if you are doing that, so you have a clear line between the two agents, the first one and the second one. And if you are not doing this, one of the common pitfall right now is to have two similar agents. And when the root agent need to route what's the best agent to solve my issue, because you have very similar agents, you do not know which one is the most relevant to answer your questions or to solve your issues. So you need to have a clearly detailed and define this agent is, I don't know, this agent is for the documentation, this agent is for the code, this agent is for, I don't know, for Jira, but it's clearly different. And when you have a task to achieve, the router has no doubt on which agent to use.
To map it. Okay. To use it. Okay. All right. So I think we talked about the multi-agent model, the common challenges that usually happens when we are dealing with these kind of models. Now, I just want to take one note from your end regarding regarding the agent design philosophy. Okay. So if you had to describe your personal agent design philosophy, like how you design the things, what all mindset you kept in your mind when you are designing the things, and the one which is completely non-negotiable when you are doesn't matter regardless of what use case you are using. So what is that one philosophy that you always keep in mind while designing the agents?
Yeah, I think there is many three things, in fact, and very related to my current pain point. In fact, today. The first one is about observability. You need to know what your agent do, what the different events that the agent manage, what's the user message, what's the LLM call, what's the tool call. Yes, you need to understand what your agent do because in terms of security, you need to track what the agent do in terms of security, but also, and it's the second point, you need to evaluate your agents. Right now, it's great. You are building an agent. It works. Yes, you can deploy it. But every 3 months, every 6 months, you have a new model. You have a new release. And how do you test? How can you be sure that the new model is better than the previous one? How can you be sure that if you are using a new RAG system, the data relevancy and the data relevancy are better than the previous RAG system? So the evaluations for me is the second pillar that you need to think and to design from scratch when you are starting an agent. And the third one is not about the agents. It's about how you will integrate the agents in your ecosystem.
Right.
Because building an agent with the quality of the LLMs, the quality of frameworks, today building an agent in a lab is pretty easy and fast and efficient. But when you have legacy applications, when you have your own environments, how can you integrate these agents in your existing web app, in your existing support team and whatever? And this kind of integrations is very difficult. And for me, it takes more than 50, 60, or even 70% of your time and your budget to integrate the agent in your ecosystem than to build the agent itself.
Correct. Yeah, I'm also agree. Like first, very important thing just you mentioned about the observability. So that is very important because if you know about the overall process, at least you have the idea like what you're going to build and how you're going to deliver. So it will really help you a lot while designing the models and things. Okay, so now Guillaume, like we talked about so many technical things. Before we move to the next discussion, I just want to take one question regarding your community work, because as not only as a GD but as a Google Cloud community leader from France, you are also contributing in different areas. So my question is, like, what does a healthy technical community look like to you? Because you are the, I think, right person to tell about this thing. You are actually leading the community for from front. So what does a healthy technical community look like? And from your perspective, what kills the community that seems strong on the surface? So both thing I wanted to know, like what works well and what not works well.
Yeah, something that works well for me, and it was different that they existed. In fact, I built this community with a friends. Is because existing community in France was mainly dedicated for specific personas like CTO or architect or stuff like this. But the beginners, the juniors, the students was excluded. The other community has also a pay fee to be able to belong to this community. And for me, it's free for all. If you want to share, if you want to discuss, if you want to come and to meet people that like the same topic as you, for us is Google Cloud. So come, no problem. You could be a freelance, you could be a student, you could be a professional, you could be a salesperson, you could be a third-party vendor, whatever. No problem. You are here to share, and in fact to focus your community about human discussion, feedback, experience sharing. All these kind of topics are great, and for me the core of community is the human and the discussions between the human. Really the human. Yeah, it's human centric. I think that's the good word. And what is killing it? It's also a good question, because before being really independent with some friends, we were attached to the C2C. I don't know if you know the C2C. It was a customer to customer. It was a community launched by Google but this community had to live by itself and to have some budget and to have some money. And for this, when we set up some meetings with the community, we need to have some sponsor and to have a session and to have talk from the sponsor. And because it was a commercial talk, it was not very aligned with what we expected from the community.
Correct.
2 years ago, the C2C has been shut down. And since 2 years, we are really autonomous. We have no budgets, but we do not need a budget. And we have only Google Chat. When we have in-person events, we have company and big company like Air France, for example, that are able to host us. And we have around 50 or 100 attendees each in-person event. So we have no budgets and that's great, like this.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I think now we are good to move the discussion to the next part. And here I just wanted to know about the support of network, because I believe like behind every person there is a support of network who helped us in our every phase of our life, right? So looking back on your career, who were the key people around you who had a defining impact on your journey so far?
In fact, I have two managers that helped me 10 years ago. It was in 2017. So yes, it was almost 10 years ago that offer me the opportunity and the freedom to test, to discover, to try, to architect on the cloud.
Okay.
And initially, it was really open. I tested Azure, I tested AWS, I tested Google Cloud. Personally, I found Google Cloud more developer-oriented, and because I'm a developer, it was easiest for me to use it. So I totally focus on Google Cloud, and this freedom offered by these two managers was really great. They also in 2018 offered me the opportunity to go to San Francisco and to go to Google Cloud Next. And yes, for me, it was really the pivot of my career has been done by these two managers. And yes, for me, it was the most important person in my career. Trust, freedom, opportunity. Yes, it was really great. And I'm lucky to have this kind of managers.
That's great. And yes, you are right. Like these kind of initial freedom will help you to explore more, and it will allow you to go beyond your limits to try, test, and deploy the things. So I think these guys had really played a vital role in your journey to contribute in any way they can. So that's really great to know. Okay, so now, although we have plenty of things that we can discuss here on cloud and other topics, but we are short on time, so I just want to take one more question, and this is regarding the place you belong from. Okay, so as a proud citizen of France, what you think? Like, what one thing is close to your heart that you want to share with the rest of the world?
Yeah. It's a difficult question because in France we have a lot of great things.
Yes.
But when you are traveling, you are seeing the main difference between your country and the country of the rest of the world. And I think one of the specific stuff in France is our I don't know how to say this, our social model. In fact, how the society, how we are organized and how we are able to share the money, the resources of the country across all the citizens. I will talk about, for example, the health insurance, from doctors to hospitals to treatments. In fact, all this stuff are free in France. When you are going to school, the school is free. You have also good public transportations and stuff like this. And when you are going in other city, other country, you are talking with taxi drivers or restaurant waiters and stuff like this. they would like to go to France, especially for this kind of advantages, this kind of benefits that we have in France. So in France, we are never happy because of the taxes, because of many things. But
Yeah.
when you are comparing yourselves with the rest of the world, I think France and the social atmosphere of France is better than other countries. And so I like it. And of course, I like the food. I like also, but this part is very, very, very different because the
Yes,
food is
like
also great in Italy, in Spain. But yeah, this part is very, very specific to France and very proud of. And yes.
yeah, I can understand. Like there are so many things good about our countries where that we can share, but we have to select one just to share. So that's really interesting to know about all the things that you just shared about the France and all the technical thing that you have shared. And really, GM, like it's very interesting talk, and I really appreciate that you joined this call and shared your information with everyone. So thank you once again for being a part of this show and for sharing your knowledge with everyone.
Thank you very much for having me. It was very, very interesting. Thank you.